gave you all I own, put you on this golden throne, but I'm a little stronger now. You cashed in on my promises, you know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now, a little stronger now. You cashed in on my promises, you know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now, a little stronger now, a little stronger now, a little stronger now, a little stronger now. You cashed in on my promises, you know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now, a little stronger now. Cashed in on my promises, you know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Late Night. Of course, I am Bigfoot Michigan Rob, BMR. Another great show lined up for you tonight. Thanks for everybody for coming on in this evening at midnight, 11 Central, wherever you're at around this world. Thank you for coming on in. Again, a great show tonight. I've got finally Brandy back. Well, hopefully, we'll have Brandy for the entirety of the show, because you never know with Brandy and what she's got going on in the state of Missouri, where they have terrible internet that I've discovered. I will never move to Missouri simply because of the internet connection that they have. Terrible, terrible. With that being said, thanks for coming on. And if you're new here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube, the Blondes and the Boos Paranormal Podcast on YouTube. My other awesome co-host from Texas, Monica Rollins, Our Paranormal World. Subscribe to Monica. They're both joining me tonight for this fun-filled show where anything goes. We talk about everything. We talk a little cryptids. I tell a story. We break it down. And, we talk about other obscure things and life things, which I'm going to bring up here in a moment. But before I get started with that, I'm going to bring up, I'm going to try Brandy first, just because we need her internet to be warm.
I'm here.
Oh, you sound to look good, Brandy, so far.
So far, so good. I'm here. I'm lucky. That's twice in one day.
So I've now just seen the third part of your house. One is with the beautiful bottles. The other is the other main room. And now we got this room. And you got some pictures in back of you. And so, yeah. So another area where you're trying to get this internet rolling, Brando.
Yeah, the next thing, I guess I could go into my daughter's room or my mother's room or something.
Well,
try to get internet.
I'm glad I'm not making fun of you at all. We know it's not your fault. Is this what's going on, I guess, in your area? I guess you have what they call death spots, eh?
Absolutely,
okay, well,
absolutely.
Okay, Brandy. She's just faded out on me a little bit, but yes, I'm gonna bring up the lovely Monica.
Howdy,
Hello.
everyone.
Hi, Monica. Well, you're
Hello.
coming in. You're coming in pretty crisp.
I hope so because I'm hardwired in.
Oh my lord! Imagine. But I guess according to Brandy, even if she was hardwired in, she probably wouldn't have. She would have the same problems. She says. So I don't know. Brandy, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. I'm glad you can hear me. We're going to well, for the sake of Brandy tonight, I'm gonna tell a story a little later. I'm gonna read it because there's a couple of reasons why I'm gonna read it. And I normally I pride myself. Okay, here's how I do shows, you guys. I do a lot of prep. If I tell a story or two that I know I'm gonna talk about, I will read it twice, and the second read through, I write down notes because I like to tell a story like this, like I'm talking right now. I'm not big on reading stuff. I do that on the Saturday video. But you guys, tonight, the story that I'm about to tell you guys before we get started, this has so much detail. It's about the Civil War. It's about shapeshifters, dogmen, werewolves, and history. And so when I started taking the notes to tell the story, I started writing and writing and writing. And I'm like, dude, you might as well read the damn thing because I'm kind of writing down everything in this story, and it's not my style. I don't like to read stuff, but for the purpose of tonight and to give Brandy a break so she don't have to talk throughout the entire show, I'll give her an opportunity to warm up the old internet and listen and give her fabulous opinions, which are always fantastic, as well as Monica's. We're missing Krista. She's on vacation. She'll be back next week. And for those of you that missed brunch with Bigfoot Rob Thursday, shame on you. Not really. I had no power. Some idiot hit a power pole this past Thursday and took out a tower or a transformer, I should say. And so I wasn't on Thursday. So this is my first live show to start August. And as you both nod, there's a segue for somebody to say something funny, but
sorry. We missed that.
It's not funny. It really isn't funny.
Well, the guy wasn't hurt, but you know what's funny about the whole thing that happened with this power line? Second time the same power pole got hit in 2 years. So what do you think? The city should maybe, put it in a different area?
Yeah.
Twice in 2 years, you guys? Come on.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
I don't know why they don't put up a barrier.
Yeah, a bollard or something like a,
or maybe one of those signs with all the curves, because it is very curvy. I mean, it's not like, okay, we've all been through the mountains maybe once or twice in our life where we have the signs, dangerous curve ahead, sharp, whatever. Nothing. It's just like, because you could be driving along. If you're doing 20 or 30 miles an hour, you guys, the curve comes up quickly. Yeah. And if you are unfamiliar with the neighborhood, I can see where you're going to veer off and possibly hit the pole, because I will tell you this, I've almost hit it twice in my entire life. And I've lived here for about a decade. So it's kind of, it's not a good spot. Not a good spot at all.
Well, that's poor city planning. So complain to your city planner.
Well, I do all the time because I'm not one of those guys to complain, because I don't want to be that guy. But I got to tell you, for the money we pay in taxes, the infrastructure where I live, much like Brandy, who has zero infrastructure, we have. it took me forever for them to figure out why I was having cable interruptions, internet interruptions. And I went through, I upgraded all my internet. I bought a new computer system, but I was still having these lags. And I threatened to cancel my cable and my internet with the guy I've been with for 10 years. I use WoW here in the state of Michigan. We have something called WoW. So I said, hey, look, I'm going to Xfinity if you don't fix this. So finally, after 55 service calls in the last 38 months,
Holy moly.
I finally had to, I'm exaggerating just a little bit, 24 probably. I had some guy come out, and he was the best tech I ever had. He went out and actually pulled out a ladder, went on and went up on the telephone pole, because I still have telephone poles where I live. And he says, I can tell you what your problem is. You don't need new equipment. Your problem is the squirrels. The squirrels are your problem. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're eating through your cable line, and all your cable wires are exposed.
That'll do it.
There was a lag. It's because the metal, especially with the rain, it was very hot or very cold. The wires, whatever. I'm not a tech guy. I'm not a technician. They would screw up the internet. It was not so much on the television, but on the computer, especially doing a live stream, especially, I had a lag.
Man.
So they put up new lines, and I've had great service ever since. So I did some research on how long does it take a squirrel to eat through cable lines. Because I'm figuring maybe 3 years worth of time. Well, they can bite through that stuff in 2 seconds. And I love squirrels. I was thinking about hanging out in my backyard and picking them off with a BB gun. But I'm not going to do that, you guys. I don't do that. Maybe hit him in the ass or something, get him out of here.
Teach him a lesson.
Get
some rock salt.
I mean, oh, yes. Well, what I should do is get up and put rock salt on the lines, but I'm not going to get up on no, 22-foot ladder. You know what I mean?
Just get some cats. I had cats in East Texas that left me little squirrel tails all around my yard.
Well, Monica, here's the funny thing. I had cats many years ago when I was married. I probably told you that story. However, though, in my neighborhood, we have an abundance of domesticated cats that aren't, as you would say, quote unquote, your typical domesticated cat, because they're wild and they just live spring, fall, and winter on their own. They got pregnant and no one owns them, and they run amok in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, they're pretty big and they can get kind of mean. And unfortunately, they do like birds. So I'll find a lot of dead bird carcasses that these cats do get,
Yeah.
But, it's
I'm shocked they leave carcasses.
Well, they eat everything but the head. They leave the feathers behind,
Well, I mean, yeah, that's just from the attack.
And they leave those behind. So I clean maybe one dead bird up every 2 weeks. They're getting better after kill,
Oh, good. They're learning.
Yeah, they're learning. Yeah, so they do roam my neighborhood, and I've got wild dogs that roam the neighborhood. And I live in the suburbs, everybody. It's not like I live in an area where people don't care about the environment, right? But yeah, they roam free. Where they come from, I don't know. And I'm right up the road from a creek where we get all sorts of rodents and everything else. So I live in the suburbs, yet I kind of live in an urban environment with all the things that I have going on. So it makes life interesting. That's for sure.
Well, I'm just,
So what's going on with Brandy? Thank you, T-Bone.
All right.
I don't know what that is. My internet just slowed up. T-Bone gifted 5 You become a BMR pirate tonight, like T-Bone just gifted 5 BMR pirate memberships. Arr!
All right. Madeline
you
got
get?
one. That's awesome.
You get a picture of me with a bandana next to your chat room name. So thanks, T-Bone.
Nice.
But anyway, so Brandy, how's your day going? We haven't said anything yet. I'm hopefully to get your voice rolling here.
It's been an uneventful day. Basically did nothing. It's too hot to do anything outside, so I kind of just stuck inside and was being lazy.
That sounds like a day in the park in Missouri.
Sounds like what you do in the South in August.
Well, you're in Texas, Monica, and I'm
Yes.
sure that you have about the same to say. Anything going on crazy with you today?
Well, I had my AC technician come out this morning, bright and early, because I don't know if you caught my live the other night, but I happened to look up because I heard like a regular tapping noise, and apparently I had a clogged condensation line, and I have a giant like brown spot on my ceiling now where the plaster fell down too. I'm just happy the sheetrock's still up there.
Oh boy. Well,
Right.
Homeownership.
I mean, home ownership is the pros and the cons, right?
It's annoying. Just
Mhm.
we were talking backstage, and Brandy's well aware of the problems I had over the last couple of years with pipes freezing and things like that. And I could actually meet Brandy and Krista, who were like 48 minutes away from me in Ann Arbor, Michigan, a couple of years ago. And I fully intended to visit them. But, I had the broken pipes and I leaks all over and I lost power. It's the middle of winter. And thank you, Kelly Lewis, for being a member for 4 months, a pirate for 4 months. Kelly Lewis, thank you. So yeah, it happens, right? I mean, and I would not want to be in your situation because I tell you what, one of the things that bugs me, just like I had a leaking in my ceiling, the leaks, they drive me crazy. I'll take almost anything else but a leak in the ceiling or anything with plumbing.
well, okay, so that's annoying. It's ugly. It's going to be a pain in the butt to fix because it's in a weird place where two pieces of sheetrock come together. So that's going to, I'm not looking forward to fixing that, but I have had 2 things crawl under my house and die since I've bought this house. And I don't know what's worse, like the dead thing under the house or the nasty brown spot on my ceiling.
Well, let me ask you this, Monica. Is the dead thing under your house by chance a chupacabra?
If only. If only. The government couldn't clean it up for me if it was a chupacabra. So that would be preferable.
So,
Right. Sure.
And we all bitch about the heat and stuff. Well, in Texas, I get it. Missouri kind of is like Michigan. It was 98 degrees today. And like I normally do, I put out a short to promote all the shows. So I was at my buddy's where I go every Saturday. I swim at the house with, I've known him forever, and his wife and a few of his kids. So I did a short from his yard, and I'm all out in the yard. I say, hey, I'm sorry I'm not wearing a shirt, but it's 98 degrees. Come join us tonight at midnight, blah, blah, blah. I did that. Like 500 people viewed it. Simply, I don't know. It must have been women watching because I normally don't get 500 views because I was shirtless, right? But it's all about
give them what they want, man. They want some
it's all marketing. And listen, I'm not Rico Suave, but so here's the thing: we're at. I had kind of a cool day before I get into this story because my best friend Brian and Sandy, I've known them both since the age of 13, and they were high school sweethearts who got married. Much like my brother and his wife, my sister-in-law, they were high school sweethearts as well. And that just does not happen too often, I think. At least to stay married. It happens. You hear about divorces and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And everybody, yes, this is a Cryptid show, but this is how we do the late show. We just BS about stuff before we get rolling. So my buddy's daughter, who I'm not gonna give their names because they're under 21, but she's my godchild, and her friends are over, and I both know her. They're her friends since 10. They're all 16. They're going in 11th grade. So we're in the pool, and it's customarily good old Uncle Rob, as they call me. I'm throwing around the pool because they like when I throw them around the pool. And so they came up to me. It was weird, you guys, because we're on this. I'm not on it. There's this big 8-foot raft, and I'm in the pool. I'm at one end, and the 3 girls at the other end. And they're looking at me, and I could tell they wanted to ask me something. I'm like, what's up? And I go to, of course, my she's not my niece, but I call her my niece. I go, what's up? You guys want to ask me something? What's going on here? They're like, yeah, we have something to ask you, Uncle Rob. I'm like, okay, I'll fire away. Well, my niece has got a good dad. The other one's dad is never around. The other one don't know her dad because she's from a broken home. So you got 3 girls from 3 different backgrounds. A good dad, an okay dad, and one that don't have a dad. So I'm old enough to be their dad and stuff. They're like, well, we're going to be in 11th grade this year. I'm like, yeah, I know. Congratulations. I remember 11th grade.
Yeah.
And they said, that's why we want to ask you about 11th grade. I'm like, okay. Where are we going with this? So they asked me what the boys were like. And I said, you're asking probably the wrong guy. Because I know how I was in 11th and 12th grade. And so I told them this. And this is like a story. And I took them under my wing like if I had my own daughter, which I never had a daughter. Or a son, for that matter. I got married, but my wife wouldn't have kids. So I just have all these nieces and nephews and all these godkids, right? But for whatever reason, they come to me for advice, which I dig it. I love it, blah, blah, blah. What are the guys like really in 11th grade? What should we expect? I said, I don't know. What are you expecting from them? I don't know. They're all being hush-hush and very shy. I said, look, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm just going to come straight to the point. I remember when girls were in 10th grade and guys were in 12th, all they're interested in, you guys, is one thing and one thing only. Hormones are raging. They don't care about you. They do not care about you. They're going to tell you they love you. They're going to tell you you're pretty. And I'm going to tell you, each and every one of you 3 are going to have your heart broken several times. That's the way it is. I hate to be blunt about it, but don't be heartbroken because your life will go on. And I'm going to leave it at that, you guys, because we start talking about other stuff. I'm like, look, don't trust guys in high school because they ain't worth it.
That's a fact. All right.
And I know this from experience. I was that same dick. Unfortunately, I did. I admit it freely. So, but I was really, I hate to sound like a wimp, but I was really kind of touched and kind of, because at the end, when they're all going home, 2 of the 3 are going home. And the one said, man, thank you for that. As you know, I don't have a dad. I haven't seen him in 3 years. And the other one said, my dad's kind of a jerk. Thank you. And I got to thinking, you guys, that, wow, I felt great today that I did something positive, even though I was being a jerk and telling them to expect to have your hearts broken. But I think I got a message sent to them. And I felt good today, you guys.
That wasn't being a jerk. That was being honest.
I was being honest, but I felt like a jerk because they looked at me like their hearts were broken already. Boys suck. I'm like, girls, boys don't suck, but in high school, don't expect nothing from guys. And that was my advice to them, whether it was good or bad advice. I think it's what I would tell my kid. So that's what I did, and boom.
It's real
You know what I mean?
advice. I mean, they came to you for a reason. They wanted to hear your opinion on it, so you gave
You
them.
know,
Yeah.
and I think that I wonder though if I had my own daughter, if I'd be the same way. I
Mm,
think I would, but I was kind of harsh, you know. But
well, I mean,
I was honest.
well, it's better to be honest and give them real advice, right? So the real world doesn't crush them under its wheels. Because if you shelter children too much, and I'm not saying to like expose them to everything, but I mean, if you shelter them too much and they're let loose on the world at 18, right? They go off to college. that's a bad deal for some kids. Like if they were over sheltered, because that was a bad deal for me.
Yeah.
And you learn a very hard lesson very fast in a very hard way. And it's better just to be honest. I think that's how I raised my kids. It's better to be honest and give them real life, real advice to prepare them for how absolutely shitty the world is when you get out.
Yeah. Well, I shot from the hip and told them what I thought, and thanks for that, Monica, because that's why I lie to kids, right?
No,
Tell them who the world is.
Yeah.
And for us growing up, it was probably easier than it is today, I bet. But with that being said, everybody, it's how we do our shows. We go all over. We normally talk food, but we talk. I talk a little parenting. And I got to tell you, anything you want to throw on Brandy, you're just kicking back because you still have the connection.
I'm just listening.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I think that it's, my children understand a lot more than what I originally thought they did. So I kind of give them that advice that's kind of like tough on them. They're kind of like, well, yeah, okay. So they're more understanding and more, able to accept what I'm telling them versus what I thought they were. So kids are a lot tougher than we think, but they still need that guidance.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I don't know why you went off that tangent, because today went on and I felt good about what I did today. And I was pretty happy that they looked to me for guidance. But I did feel bad. The one girl, you guys, not a dad, doesn't know her dad. The other one's a fly-by-night dad. Now, the other one, who was my best friend's kid, but she don't like talking to him about anything. So,
well, that's her dad.
I'm the go-to. Yeah, well, you're right. So I felt good about that. Not to blow smoke up my ass. I also don't like to blow smoke up my ass, but I'm going to really quickly here, because I'm going to tell you guys a story about the Civil War and werewolves. Now, typically, good old BMR, what I do, did I say this earlier? I don't know. I'm going to read this story. And I don't like reading stories. I do find it personally boring. But there's so much involved with this, I don't want to forget anything. Typically, what I do before every show is I read the story twice and I take notes. So I found myself taking notes on this story where I'm like, man, why don't you just read the damn thing? Because there's a lot of detail involved with this that I want both your opinions on, and I think I want to be fair to the people in chat. And now, by the way, I have a new thing that I can look on in the YouTube thing. We got 68 people in chat, and we also have, I can pull this up, analytics. We have 68 people in chat and 319 listening live right now.
Awesome.
Yes, thanks for everybody listening live.
Absolutely.
You're as important as the people in chat. I love the people in chat, and I love the people that listen that don't participate in chat, because you're just as valuable, and you mean just as much to me as the people in chat. So thank you for tuning in. So I was thinking, I got to read this, but there's another reason why I want to read this, because this is the first story in my new book coming out August 17th. That's right, everybody. It's Bigfoot Mishra Presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 2, and there's kind of a preview of the new cover.
Sweet.
It's similar to the first, except a different change in color, and it's more of a chrome colored book, but it's the same thing. And I've reversed the Dog Man and the what do you call it? Bigfoot. And there's book 2. So this story is from the book. Is the first story in the book. So you get it for free tonight. So I'm going to read it to everybody. But more importantly, I'm reading it because a lot of details in this, you guys. A lot of history involved. And I know Brandy's got the problem with the internet. So I want her to listen. And so everybody listening, shut your eyes, listen. Girls, just take it in. Because I think there's a lot involved. There's paranormal involved with this. There is cryptids, shape-shifting, and history, again, as I mentioned earlier, now with just the Civil War, but other things going on. So, yeah, it's about an 8-minute read. So, yeah, okay, it's a 90-minute show. We're 30 minutes into it. So give me 8 minutes. I'm going to read it instead of telling it because, quite frankly, I don't want to forget it. And Brandy's going to sit back and listen because I don't blame her because of her internet situation. So, everybody.
Right. I just cut off my cam, so my audio.
Yep, no, I got you. And you sound actually a lot better like that, Brandy. So this is from my second book coming out the 17th of August, and it's the first story in the book. It's called Dogman Rising. So everybody kick back, get a beverage, but make sure you turn up the volume so you don't want to miss it. It's fabulous. At least I think it is. I was raised by my grandfather in the late 1960s through the end of the 1970s. I was 15 years old when my mother and father were killed in an automobile accident. My world was turned upside down. As a 15-year-old, now having to move in with my grandpa, who lived alone with his wife, my grandmother, who passed away much too early in life. It was just a very traumatic experience for me. The situation was made even more difficult as I never really saw my grandfather growing up as a child, as he lived in what today you would call Mineral Wells, West Virginia. I lived in St. Louis, Missouri. And this was a lifestyle that I was unfamiliar with. It almost seemed like I was living with a stranger in a very crude and abysmal land. My new home sat on about 50 acres in the woods, no neighbors, no kids in which to play. The school was several miles away, from which I never graduated, as Grandpa was an alcoholic and never got me to school on time or to school at all for that matter. I often wondered how my grandpa even had money to buy anything. The one time he provided me clothing, the clothes were used and did not even fit my body. I was going through growth spurts, and frankly, I was too embarrassed to go to school. And really quickly, I was thinking about this story when I was talking to the girls, as weird as that sounds. But anyways, the majority of what I ate, Grandpa hunted. The thing he did teach me was how to hunt and track. He told me, by the way, Rob, for this story, my name is Jake. Grandpa says, Jake, I don't have much, but you will learn how to live off of the land. The home we lived in was falling apart. By today's standards, you could call it or deem it to be dilapidated. The other thing that Grandpa taught me was that of carpentry, how to work with wood and how to fix things, like a modern day handyman. The home was huge and very haunting looking. It reminded me of a home that a witch or sorcerer would live in from the early days, in the childhood stories, like my parents at one time used to read me at bedtime. My favorite story was that of Hansel and Gretel. I joked to myself that I lived in the infamous house where the wicked witch resided and baked small children in her oven. So, Rob, my early youth was a nightmare. And he goes on. The one thing that always bothered me about this home was that the fact that despite the shoddy construction of this house, every door and window was secured with very heavy iron bars. I would bet that the money invested in the ironclad steel was worth more money than the entirety of the dwelling itself. Why the bars, I always thought to myself. It was as if my grandfather was trying to keep me or something out. Another peculiar and disturbing occurrence almost weekly, when my grandfather was not home, a very tall man would walk across the property. He would stop in the front of the home and stare. It was like he was looking right through the walls of the house directly at me. The man had long, black, unkempt hair. As I mentioned, he was rather tall, but he was also robustly built. He always had this dirty look about himself, and he had an unusually dirty, very long gray coat. The coat went from the top of his shoulders down to the tops of his ankles. The coat reminded me of the style worn by the Confederate soldiers of the Civil War. The only difference was long swatches of brownish leather were strewn about the coat. The leather also appeared to have some sort of emblems or patches sewn into the fabric. As this continued to happen for almost a year until finally on my 16th birthday, I decided it was about time to talk with my grandpa about all these things that had troubled me. And the first thing I asked was, Grandpa, why the bars on the windows? I asked grandfather. He looked at me and said, for protection. I replied back, protection from who or what? Are you talking about the creepy man in the long gray coat that passes by the house every time you're gone? My grandfather's face turned red. He became nervous and replied, you have seen evil. You have seen the evil. I'm taken aback by this change in Grandpa's temperament. He told me to wait where we were speaking in the kitchen as he quickly raced up the old creaking stairs to a room above. He then found what he was looking for and returned to the kitchen. Grandpa came back with a rifle and a rather large silver box and placed the items on the kitchen table. He then clumsily went to a kitchen cabinet and fumbled for a few seconds before producing a set of keys. He took the key and opened the large silver box. Inside the box, my grandfather pulled out old newspaper clippings and a handful of bullets. These bullets were not made of typical lead or copper. They were made of silver. The old clippings were faded. You could barely see the dates. However, the scribes of interest were circled in pencil. The clippings spoke about werewolves and dog-like creatures killing Union soldiers during the Civil War. The article chilled me to the bone. It was described as a very powerful man clad in a long Confederate coat embellished in leather. Then I feared for my life, as a picture stenciled in these old clippings was that of the very same man that walks past the home during Grandpa's absence. Grandpa saw the look on my face and asked if this was the man I had seen. I told him yes, it was. My grandfather's face dropped, and he went into certain fear. He went on to tell me how this property had been once a battlefield during the Civil War, and how many lives were lost. Not lost by the hands of man, by that of the beast. Grandfather went to tell me that the man that I had been seeing is not a man, but the leader of a killer wolf pack during the Civil War. He told me that this beast had not been on the property for 20 years until now, with my arrival. You see, Grandfather told me, he shot and killed this man over 20 years ago. And at the time, it was in the form of a wolf. He went on to tell me he buried the man wolf in the backyard of the house at the tree line. Grandfather swore up and down that he used a silver bullet to kill this man beast. Then he grabbed me by the hand and off we went to the burial site. When we reached the site, my grandfather fell to his knees and wept. We uncovered the grave. The grave was overturned, dirt strewn before us. The old coffin-like box was shattered. It appeared as though someone or something dug themselves out of the grave. From that day forward, Grandpa stopped drinking, never left the home, and sat on the front porch with a rifle in his hand, loaded with one silver bullet. 6 months went by, and the man or beast never returned. Then one night, a week or so later, while I slept, I heard the sound of a rifle go off, grandfather's rifle. I raced down to the porch, and there stood my grandfather, rifle in hand, and told me I shot the evil. The body of the creature was never found. A year later, my grandfather passed away. I continued to live off the land for about 8 years as grandfather had taught me. I finally made it to the city and got a job as a laborer. There, I was fortunate enough to find love and I got married. I will never forget Grandpa. I can say that evil takes many shapes and forms. I can bear witness to that. Thank you, Rob, for sharing this. So, that is in my book. I tell you a compelling story, you guys. I don't know what to make of it. Well, I do know what to make of it. A Civil War, shapeshifter, dogman. You know, I've heard stories about people that I've heard during the Civil War. Monica, Brandy's kind of out that things similar to this have happened, right? We've heard about dogmen during all sorts of times, werewolves, shapeshifters.
Sure.
And I just find this story, there's so much to unpack in the story.
There is a lot going on in that story.
That's why I decided to read it, you guys, because there's a lot of details, and I'm pretty good at memorizing things, but I wanted to read it because it's from the book, and again, didn't want to miss anything. What's your first thoughts, Monica?
It's a great story. The Civil War fascinates me, and the fact that this werewolf guy originates back around that time. So this happened in the 60s, 70s, right, to this guy. So when this took place, it was in that time frame. Correct? I understood that correctly?
Correctly.
So it's about a little over 100 years since the Civil War at this point. But his grandfather had just shot and killed this dude 20 years prior to that.
20 years prior, correct.
So roughly 80 years after the Civil War ended. So, I mean, not knowing what the lifespan is on these things, that's interesting. And that they had the clippings from the area at the time of the killings in the Civil War.
Yes.
And the sketch of him, that's super fascinating. And at first, to be honest with you, I thought that what he was seeing was an apparition, but if it dug itself out of its own grave, I'm just curious what triggered that. You're laying there for 80 years.
80
That was my question.
Pop up. It's not like he dug it up and took the silver bullet out of the body, which I would understand at that point. But he showed up and it decided, time to wake up. That's a little interesting.
That's very interesting. I'm glad you're back, Brandy. I know you're there, Brandy. So thanks. For me, it was weird because, of course, his the grandson, again, tough times, tough life, this and that, and I'm just wondering why this supposed person all of a sudden starts walking up and down, like you were saying earlier, Monica, up and down the street, looking into the house. Now, did grandfather see him and know about this and not tell him? Or was this just spurred on because of new life in the house, I wonder? I don't know.
Well, I mean, it could have been new life and his energy. I mean, I would get that if it were an apparition, like your apparition can attract things to it that wasn't there necessarily, right? So teenagers, we know, like, enhance poltergeist activity. They enhance, more psychic energy because of like all of the hormones and, everything going on at that period of your life. So you tend to attract those kind of things at that age. But this isn't a poltergeist activity. This is a straight up shape-shifting guy who dug himself out of a grave he'd been laying in for 80 years. That's what I'm not understanding.
Well, yeah, but why would you, right? Even, yes, 80 years all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But then again, all these stories, there's certain details and there's questions that I have.
Or I mean, I guess
Well,
it was 20
for
years.
all we know, though, maybe he dug himself out of that grave and grandfather never went back. Because according to the story, it was way back by the tree line off the property.
Sure.
And maybe grandpa forgot about it. He killed this man or beast,
Okay.
buried it, and then didn't bother going back for the rest of his
Maybe
life.
he didn't kill it. He thought he killed it, and it's actually been there the whole time, but waiting until he's gone to sneak up because he already took a shot at it and hit it, and he knows the guy has silver. So that would make sense. If he thought he killed him, buried him, but he wasn't really dead, clawed his way out. Been hanging out ever since, but knows enough to avoid the old man. But the grandson's suddenly there and he's seeing him. So that makes more sense, right? And I said 80 years. So he would have been buried 20 years ago.
20, yeah. So Brandy, I see you're back, and I want to get you your thoughts on this because I think it's good now. I'm not showing your face, although it's a lovely face indeed, but it might be working better this way. So what's your thoughts, Brando?
Well, I was thinking along the same lines of why was this thing supposedly dead for so long and in the ground, but I mean, the only thing that was coming to my mind was, could this be a form of necromancy? I mean, you've got to think of it that way. If somebody knew that the body was back there and knew what this thing was and had a grudge against the grandfather, I mean, they could try to do something like that. I mean, this is hard. This is a very difficult one. And why would the grandson see it? That's what I don't understand.
Well,
unless, there is this, that if the grandson looked like the grandfather, so, if you take off 20 years off the grandfather or so, and then you're looking at the grandson and you kind of see the same person, maybe that's why it was stalking him instead, thinking that it was him and not the older grandfather that he is now or was then.
Well,
so I don't know. I mean, it's just very confusing.
Well, it is confusing, but here's the thing, though. If I'm reading this correctly, your grandfather was pretty much a drunk. He probably didn't wake up in the morning. He probably paid no attention, anything, no detail. And I'm thinking that, unfortunately, for the old man, the granddad, he probably didn't recognize anything about his surroundings. Didn't have a job. He lived off the land, and I'm thinking that it could have been right in front of him this whole time, but paid no mind to it because he's probably in a half time in a stupor. Now, when his grandson now all of a sudden is dropped on his doorstep to kind of be raised, maybe he got more cognizant and like Monica was saying, or yourself, Randy, it strewed life and energy into this property where this being, whatever you want to call it, decided to show himself to the kid to get back at the grandfather or something. I don't know. I mean, we can only speculate, right?
Right.
Or just any family member for that fact. You know what I mean? This thing was probably really ticked off. So I'm thinking that it didn't care what family member, as long as it was his. You know what I mean? As long as it was the grandfather and his family line, it didn't care what family member.
I would agree with that.
I'm sticking with he didn't really kill it. He thought he killed it.
And
it's been lurking for 20 years, but he hadn't noticed. The grandson pops up with fresh eyes, and he's noticing it.
I will tell you guys this. This story is pretty fascinating. That's why I decided to read it, because I couldn't remember all the details. So that's why I did read it. Not just because it's in the book, by the way, which comes out August 17th. I've heard a lot of things about the Civil War. Now, I know from Brandy and Krista, they tell a lot of cool experiences. Where was that, Brandy? Gatlinburg, or all in the old war battlefields?
Gettysburg.
Gettysburg.
Oh, they're actually, yeah, we've been all over. Yeah, that's had many of these battles, and all of them have their own separate tragic stories.
Mhm.
And it's really just interesting to listen to all the stories. I mean, you can hear the story of Gettysburg, but then you go to somewhere else and you hear that story. It's very fascinating to hear them all because of all the things that go on. It's just really unbelievable once you hear it. It's just really crazy to listen to.
Yeah, for sure. And here's another thing. We all hear about, like, I mean, if you're into what we all do, you hear about the super soldiers of Dogman and stuff. So, but I've heard that Dogman was around during the Civil War, and I've heard stories of these monsters. And back in the times, they never said Dogman or werewolf, but they said these inhumanoid or these monsters that aren't quite human beings that attack people during the night. Certainly folklore. But I got to wonder and thinking, because I do believe that there's a super soldier program created by our government. And I'm just wondering, because I know it started way back in World War I, right? Where the super soldier was pretty much popped up on amphetamines, right? Which today you call, meth. Okay. I mean, we've all heard of that. And that moved into these scientists experimenting with all these creations, and it has me wonder though, did the super soldier, cryptid soldier exist back during the Civil War? I wonder.
I mean, why not?
We're just thinking about it. I mean,
Oh, I know you're thinking. I'm sorry, you guys. It's a lot to digest, you guys.
I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, super soldier programs, and I do think that, because we've talked about it before, where I think that these dogman werewolves, whatever you want to call them, I think that some of them occur naturally. I think some of them are created, and I think some of them are probably on like a, I don't know, ethereal level, not necessarily on this plane of existence consistently. I think that it would hit all three of those. So why not back then? The natural ones could have been there. It's super soldiers. Back during the Civil War, I mean, I don't know about them creating those things quite back then, just thinking of the medical technology back then. I mean, they were cutting people's arms and legs off rather than issuing, like antibiotics and trying to heal wounds. Right. So, them creating super soldiers where they're splicing genes or doing whatever that entails, I just don't really see in the Civil War time. But again, I think that some of these things occur naturally, and that's probably what was going on. And then there's curses. I mean, let's go into folklore. It was a man in the day and he shifted into a wolf at night. I mean, that's a typical, werewolf folklore thing. And those have been around forever,
That's a great point. Now, and when I read the stories a couple times and such, I was waiting for one of you guys to say it. I'm thinking that perhaps this could have been a werewolf or a shapeshifter. But a shapeshifter, though, a werewolf from folklore, they live forever. And a shapeshifter, what, Monica? It's just a man or a person that turns into an animal, which I think we all kind of think that's kind of
difficult
spiritual thing versus
Yeah, like an actual physical transformation. I can't. Because
I did hear of werewolf lore during the Civil War, though. I've heard of that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's been in our country forever.
Before the Civil War.
Even before, Europeans landed, there were creatures that were similar, right? In native folklore. So there's things on every continent that have existed for a long time in that form.
And then
it just brings me back to the issue of, like you said, was it a werewolf instead? So it could conceal itself hiding from this family and only show itself at certain times. Other times it would be around and be the wolf, and then other times it'd be around and be the human. So there is that. I don't know. That would be an easy way for it to conceal itself and still hang there and hang around. But why would it wait 20 years to show itself?
I don't think it did. I think it's been there, and the grandpa, it was avoiding him because he already shot it with silver once, and it recognized, I don't want this dude to see me, put another silver slug in my rear end. So,
Well, I wouldn't want to hang around either because he put a slug in me. That'd be the last place I'd want to be unless I was looking for revenge.
Well, even in the story, yeah, perhaps revenge. And here's maybe revenge on his grandchild, because it always showed itself walk past the house when grandfather was gone doing his thing.
yeah,
And he was always just a grandchild that saw this creepy man with the long hair and a long gray coat with the weird emblems on it. It always stopped and looked into the house, like he was peering through the house. This creepy dude, right? But it only showed himself when grandfather was gone to the kid, right? So maybe, Brandy, that's a good point. Maybe he had this dude in the gray coat had a motive, and the motive was to get back at the grandfather, and maybe his plan was to eventually take the grandson and do something bad to him, perhaps.
Right. Could have been. I mean, did he say that thing saw him watching him?
Again, just what I read, what I gathered, he felt that it could see him.
Okay.
He never mentioned if he saw the kid seeing it or him at the time, right?
Because it's totally possible. I mean, anything's possible. It's totally possible that, like Brandy said, he was, looking to see where the kid might be, see if he can snatch him real quick while grandpa's away. Or it could just be, he's like, walking by like, just checking out the part of the guy that shot him.
But I will tell you guys this, I thought it was a cool story, but really the thing that I really was fascinated with was when grandpa went up into the attic or wherever it was, he got that silver box with all the newspaper clippings. He had the rifle, the silver bullets, and pulled out those old newspapers from back years ago. And he knew what to show his grandson, the picture of that guy. He said, is this who you saw? The grandfather knew it already. Show him a picture of and the kid said, that's the guy I see. And this is like from 80 years ago, you guys, or whatever it was. I mean, he says 80 years, Civil War, right?
It's been about 100 years at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the kid was basically seeing something that existed 100 years ago.
Yeah. But the grandfather, it had been hanging out apparently because the grandfather had just shot it 20 years prior to that date. So it had been hanging on that land for a minute, apparently. I mean, I would guess.
I'm guessing that land, I don't know if it was in the story. Forgive me if I forgot. I think that maybe that land, you guys, was that the granddad lived on was a battlefield, and maybe a lot of this was souls.
Yeah.
What do you think, Brandy?
Well, I don't know. It does have that ghosty type vibe to it. I'm going to say it that way. Because maybe that's what the grandson was seeing, that he was seeing just the apparition of this thing that just kept walking by. I mean, because we all know that there are spirits that are intelligent and some that are residual. And maybe the grandson was seeing something residual just walking by.
Could have been. And then the grandfather shot at it with silver. You know, I shot the evil again. But he doesn't say that he saw it again after that. Right. So what was different that the grandfather did this time that would have driven it off for good, you know?
Exactly.
And I'm not thinking it was
Or
driven
just
off. And then the grandfather
or do they
died.
think?
Well, I mean, the grandfather, he didn't mention seeing it after that. And then the grandfather, died a year later, and he lived on the land another 8 years. He's not mentioning that he continued to see it after that.
And then the kid ends up finally moving out, got to the city, as he says, and found love on all this other stuff, got a job. I'd like to know what this property is, man, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean,
the night out there.
The thing about residual hauntings is that they are never consistent. So it may show itself 3 times in a week, and then you won't see it for years on end, and then it'll start showing up again. I mean, there's no time frame. I mean, people like to say, oh, it's like every Friday night at 3 a.m. or Friday morning at 3 a.m. or that's not necessarily the case. It could be at any point in any time that it has enough energy to start going through the loop that it's stuck in time. So maybe the son or the grandson just wasn't looking for it.
Yeah.
I don't think the grandson was looking for it because I think he was probably pretty terrified.
Sure. I mean, once he figured out what it was and he saw the clippings and everything, I would be.
I don't know that I'd want to. I think I'd have been out that day. Well, me personally, no. Me personally, what I know today, I probably would like to investigate it. But we're talking about a kid that was what? I don't recall the age of this kid.
He was like 16. He was young.
He was a young punk. Well, a young pup, I should say. So yeah, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, at 16, I don't think I'd have been investigating.
Me either. I'd probably been running.
Yeah, I wouldn't have hung out.
Not outside.
No.
Not outside. No. No.
I tell you what,
it's one thing to be indoors, but outdoors. No.
I tell you what, I give the kid credit. His grandfather was always gone doing his thing, getting drunk in the bar somewhere, and he had to stay home and witness this every day. This guy walking by and looking in at him. Then he finally took him a while. If I recall, you guys, I think it said a year that he's seen this guy all the time walking by. Then he finally broke down and asked about, you know, why the house was barred up with bars on it, you know, silver bars or whatever it was. I don't recall if they were silver bars, but bars, right, on the windows.
Well,
you said iron.
Iron, okay.
So iron would keep. Okay, so iron would keep Faye
the ghost out. Yeah, and the ghost.
Yeah. And ghost. Yeah. So if it was an apparition, it wouldn't be able to get in at him.
Okay. So he knew, Granddad knew something odd was always apparent. Or suspected.
So he suspected probably that it could be something that would happen and took precautions for it, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he had those on there the entire time he lived there, and he had them on 20 years ago when he took this dude out and just never took them off, you know? Because if I had some shape-shifting guy roaming my land, I'd probably have bars on my window too.
Yeah.
I
definitely
would too. And I think also if I took some dude out and buried him, you know, 100 yards away at the tree line, I think I would pay a visit to the grave once a month to make sure that, you know, he was still in the ground.
Yeah, if I had to use a silver bullet to put him there, know? I would sure.
Yeah, you knew what you were dealing with when you shot it. So
I can assure you the silver bullet wouldn't have been the only thing happening to that body.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, you guys. I'm thinking that's why, he says he was upset with his grandfather because he was always drinking and drunk. I'm thinking that the grandfather probably in his heyday was probably responsible. He probably knew it was evil or something, right? Whatever it is. And I just think that it drove him crazy to drink. And I think he drank his life away because he did not want to come to the reality or the grips that, listen, there was something, werewolf, shapeshifter, entity of some sort. I ain't dealing with it. Live by then his wife dies.
Yeah.
Had been dead for quite a while. He lived by himself. Kind of reminds me of just some unfortunate old man that lives by himself for 20, 30 years and has no one to care for him. Then he got dropped off. The grandkid got dropped off basically on his front porch. Hi.
Poor kid.
See ya. So I kind of feel for the old man, a little bit.
Well, you got to think about it this way. Alcoholism is not a good thing. So I'm guessing that this guy drank himself silly and he would be able to see this thing anyway.
Wouldn't be able to see it?
I don't think so. Not if this guy is just drinking constantly. How would he be able to see it at all?
Yeah.
Or even
he wouldn't even be thinking about it, looking for it, or anything.
Unless that was the cause of his drinking, and then it's constantly there. I mean, a lot of people think you drink and you forget. That's just, if you forget, that's temporary.
Yeah, I don't think it makes you forget. You
make you forget crap. And if I'm drinking because of something, I'm fixating on that while I'm drinking. So...
Actually, it's a great point. A lot of times, you could, yes. So there's more to the story than, I can see that, because I don't buy that either. Just because you drink don't mean you forget. It might, if you're drunk 24/7, you're basically not giving a crap about anything. Because you don't care if you're like loaded, 24/7, right? You don't care about bills. You don't care about
giving up.
You don't care about the silver bullet that you just put in some dude's head.
Right.
You buried at the tree line.
Right.
I'd probably get drunk and go to the graveside, and that's me.
Well, for me, man, I'd be at the graveside watching that, make sure that thing don't come out of the ground.
Exactly.
I'd be paranoid.
Yeah.
I'd be more paranoid not knowing where it is, even though I buried it. I wouldn't bury it and just go to my house and not go back and visit the gravesite in 20, 30, 40 years. That would not.
I wouldn't just bury it either. We're talking about a guy that's lived since the Civil War. I'm sure he wasn't born at the point of the Civil War. He's probably, he was,
right.
Into his age at that point. And that was what, like 80 years prior to the guy shooting him. One silver bullet. You got to do a lot more than that. Or at least I would. We would make especially sure it ain't coming out of the hole in the ground.
Well, let me tell you something. If I had to kill something with a silver bullet, I'm cutting off the head. We all seen the movies, right?
2 different places, burning it. There is salt everywhere. I'm doing so much stuff to that.
I might just quarter that mother effer because just place every limb in a different part of the county.
Exactly.
Seriously, though.
I'm not kidding. Yeah, if you need
I'm not kidding you
when something, it's not going in the ground in one piece.
Oh, absolutely not. And they're like Monica I said, I would put a salt in this hole and a salt in that hole, and I would just continue till I have dispersed the body everywhere.
Yeah. And again, shovel, a little bit of lye, a tree. A couple of years, and nothing's coming off that. You got a tree on you, man.
What about a wood chipper? I vote for a wood chipper.
Hey, now let's go Fargo. There you go.
Oh, I was thinking Fargo. Yes, I can't believe when I seen that movie, and I thought it was so intense that they were just the guys like grinding that limb down in that wood chipper. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me! Wow,
It's a lot of anger.
that's a lot of
repressed feelings going into
lot
that
of-
wood
lot
chipper,
of-
right?
a lot of
Yeah.
pent up anger.
That's
and
some
angst.
bad
Yeah. That's a lot of
mental issues.
And he was also burning. Was he taking the remains out of the wood chipper and burning it then too, or was that a different part of the movie, or is
No,
that a different movie? I'm
burned
thinking
it. I just remember him.
the wood chipper.
I just remember him trying to get her. I think it was her leg.
Yeah, it was.
In there.
He couldn't
Yeah.
quite get. He was all pissed out.
Like the femur was getting caught or something. Probably dulled the blades with the first several pieces. Got to get in there and clean it out and sharpen them blades.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Don't you know? Yeah.
had the limb up there in the chipper, and I couldn't quite get it all the way through, and
Yeah, diddly doodly.
Then he took out the hammer and the screwdriver, is chipping away at it best he could.
Just a chipping away.
He's a righteous.
Oh boy.
Don't you know?
Don't you know?
Don't you know?
He did his best.
All the kids think he's a righteous dude.
Oh.
Little Ferris Bueller in there.
Right?
Oh God. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I used to enjoy staying home and watching that. Just because I felt like Ferris, Play the Beatles.
That was so bold even for I was probably more of the Fry character. It's like we're gonna get caught. I know we're gonna get caught.
And his dad's so
Oh,
jealous.
yeah, that was me too.
Oh God, yes. I liked his dad looking out the window waving. And his son, don't even know it's his son. Reminds me of, the story I just said. Don't know who the hell anybody is. Oh man.
Yeah, it's kind of like they did all the stuff in that movie that we wish we would get away with in high school.
Sure. I mean, impersonating the Sausage King.
Oh God, yeah.
Taking over a float in a parade downtown when you're supposed to be home dying.
Right. Going and picking up your girlfriend, pretending to be your dad.
So I was talking with Breezy and Monica the other. I just came up with this because we're talking about dumb movie trivia, and you guys know my dumb trivia about Jaws, right? How they captured a serial killer on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to say this because dumb trivia about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, dumb movie stuff. Breezy's in the house. Hey, Breezy, did you know that the guy that played, I guess it was the principal that was after one of the bus, looking at the bus. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you all heard the story about him, right?
Yep.
And now that I think about what this guy was and how he portrayed himself in a movie, I can see that.
Well,
I don't know if the guy was acting.
Right. He always played kind of a creepy dude. Like he always had a creepy undertone.
He had creepy roles. I think he was in a couple other movies where he's very creepy like that too.
Oh, he was the dad. Okay, so he was Delia Dietz's dad in Beetlejuice.
Yes.
See, I never saw Beetlejuice, so I can't. Yeah.
Oh,
you never saw Beetlejuice?
No, I have not.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Oh my
God! That's not even.
Grow up in. How can you not have seen Beetlejuice?
Oh my God, Monica, you gave me that disgusting look, and you're not the first one. Every person I saw I've ever seen Beetlejuice looks at me like very violently.
Astonishment, like
what's
you're
your problem?
You got lobsters coming out of your ears, man. That's just something you don't run across.
Now I guess they have Beetlejuice 2 coming out now. I guess I heard
they do. I'm curious. I'm very curious.
I'm curious to see Beetlejuice 1 for God's sakes.
You got to see it. I love Beetlejuice. He's a ghost with the most, baby.
And I do like Michael Keaton.
Now they're coming out with a second one.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Decades later.
Breezy, yeah, he's a kitty diddler. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Risk, oh my, look at all the people hate me now in chat. Rob, how is that not possible? A bunch of other people said stuff. Rob, you blow. Never saw Beetlejuice. Yeah. Well, I never did. I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't realize he was in the movie Ravenous. I've only seen part of that movie. I haven't seen the whole thing. It's about Wendigo. It's about cannibalism on the frontier. Yeah.
He was in a whole lot of movies, and I can't think of them
He
all.
really was. He was
Yeah.
quite a few in the 80s for sure. So yeah, he was a creepy guy. Ferris Bueller was an awesome movie. I can quote Into the Ground. Beetlejuice too.
Yeah, so I gotta see Beetlejuice, I guess. Grandizers are
Oh, you have to.
me. I just unsubscribed, Rob. You didn't see Beetlejuice. Well,
that's your assignment for the weekend, Rob. You better find that movie and watch it.
God, I have so much.
This is your Yeah, this is your punishment for teasing Monica about her pizza.
Yeah, well.
Shit about pizza. I eat pizza. You don't even know what Beetlejuice looks like.
No, he's white face with black mascara, I believe.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
He's
I do.
The guy that looks kind of like dead.
Yeah, looks
with
like
green
Alice
hair
Cooper.
and a striped
Kind of
suit.
like Alice Cooper.
No. Nope.
Grandizer's making me a list of movies to watch. Yeah, well,
please do.
Send me an email.
Everybody send
and
an
these
email.
Are like
disappointed you.
They're like family movies. They're family movies, really.
Yeah, they're not
funny.
terrible. Yeah.
No, I know. I get their comedies. I know. I mean, trust me, I do like a good lighthearted movie. I do. I don't watch everything that's creepy.
I bet you haven't even watched Hocus Pocus.
Never seen that. And another one I never saw. One of my favorite actors, Johnny Depp, and I never saw Edward Scissorhands either.
Have you seen Sleepy Hollow?
I did.
Okay, well.
Yeah. But I've never seen Edward Scissorhands, and I get grief a lot for that one.
And he hasn't seen Hocus Pocus. Oh.
That's like triple disappointing, Rob. Get all these people. OMG.
Oh, gosh. I know. What I get myself into.
I know. We're running amok. It's almost amok time.
Yeah.
It's almost October. Almost amok time.
Oh, my God. Yes. I got a lot of things to catch up on then.
I got to figure out my costume. I'm going to have to put a poll up because I'm torn between a bunch of costumes. What I should do.
No, JoJo, I just said I've never seen Edward Scissorhands. Never. Johnny Depp, and I do like Johnny Depp. And Winona Ryder was in it. I know who was in it, just never saw it. Which is kind of. I know, Mr. Josh Castro. WTF, I get it.
Halloween Town movies are good.
I do like the Halloween movies.
Yeah, Halloween Town. Those are kids' movies.
Halloween Town. No, never heard of Halloween Town.
You didn't have kids, so that doesn't.
No, yeah, that's probably why.
And Gremlins, yes. You've seen Gremlins, right? You've seen Gremlins, right?
On to another subject. No, I did not. I never saw Gremlins. I never saw Gremlins.
Were you shackled somewhere?
Is that Star Trek? Is it an episode of Star Trek or no?
No.
Yeah.
No. Is it a movie or Star Trek?
Trilobites,
Yeah,
anything
no.
Serious? No.
Gremlins. You're talking about the car. You guys are kidding. There's not a movie called Gremlins.
You are so kidding us, right? See, look at that smile.
Oh, man.
He's pulling our leg.
Yeah, I know what Gremlins are.
Do you see Trick or Treat?
Probably.
The movie Trick or Treat?
I don't know. Not I probably did, but I don't remember.
It's a
the
compilation of short stories. They're
Hmm.
all tied together.
I might have seen that.
Yeah.
It was probably back in the 80s or something. 60s.
No, it was recent. It was more recent than that.
Oh, okay. No, I did. I seen it. I probably did. I just
It's
don't
got
recall
the kids on the school bus is one of the stories.
Oh, where that big creature comes down and rips them out of the top of the bus and sucks their brains out. I think so.
No, that wasn't.
Okay.
That wasn't-
Wrong story. Wrong story, Rob. Woo.
Wrong story.
Wrong story.
Oh, you know what that one was? You guys saw that one though.
Where it rips off the school bus and
Kills the kids, sucks their brains out, and
No.
captures their souls. He gets like an eye from a kid. He's rebuilding himself. Steals the kid's eye, kid's heart, the kid's soul.
Jeepers Creepers
Yes. Yeah.
2. Jeepers Creepers 2. Yes, the
Yeah,
high school
yeah.
kids on the bus.
Yeah.
Where they break down. Yes.
Yeah. That was
And he's got wings and he chases them through the field. towards the end.
very
Yeah.
creepy. Yes.
Yeah, it's Jeepers Creepers 2.
Okay. There's 2. There's 1, 2, and 3, right? Yeah.
There's like 5 or something at this point. But yeah, the first one was really good. The first one was really good. And that was based on a real thing. This couple was driving down this road and they saw some dude dumping bodies down a pipe. It was like on Unsolved Mysteries or something like that. I'm not kidding. There was like an episode of Unsolved Mysteries that it was based on.
Yes, Josh. Thanks for the super chat. I will take the $10 and I'll apply that towards renting some of these movies that I've got.
Netflix.
Yes, thank you, Josh Castro.
Yeah, you need some Netflix. I bet you could catch up in a week.
Yeah.
Probably.
That they're all showing on Netflix, I'm sure.
Yeah, especially now with October right around the corner.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
I want to thank Josh Castro for his super chat. T-Bone again, and Amy, 15 new BMR Pirates tonight. Thank you so much for the gifts on that. Kelly Lewis for being a member for 4 months. Amy, T-Bone, Josh, and Kelly, thank you ever so much. Love you guys. Thank you. So, yeah, I guess I've got a lot of catching up to do because if I have to do a Halloween show, right, I got to catch up on these movies, I guess.
That's right.
I think we need to do a Halloween show where we dress up.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we all should because, we all have channels now. Monica now, Our Paranormal World. You can find Monica at 11 o'clock on Thursday nights. That's in the East, 10 Central. Blondes in the Booze, Thursday at 9 in the East, Friday, 8 Central. BMR, Tuesdays at 9, Thursdays at 1, and midnight on Saturday. So, yeah, and of course, text 8 to 11 on Monday. But, yeah, I think since we're into creepy stuff anyway, we've yet to have, in my opinion, we've always had cool guests prior to you, Monica, coming aboard or whatever, doing your thing. We never had really all of us together for a Halloween show. Have we, Brandy? Or am I washed up on that?
No.
Or did we already do that? We did not?
We didn't do it.
Okay. Well, we got to do one. I don't care whose channel it's on. We should have a fun show with all of us. And maybe, I guess, dress up, eh? Why not?
Hey, yeah. It's a good idea.
Hey, yeah. I will bring the chipper. Yeah, I'll bring the chipper in the back of my panel here. Yeah.
And bring the cheese and the brats and maybe a little beer,
Ooh, the brats. Yes, do some brats and beer. Always good. Always good. Little cheese.
Don't you know?
Don't you know?
Yeah, I can see BMR as a pirate. He dresses like that right now.
I actually was a pirate for Halloween about 5 years ago. Thank you, Josh Castro, again. 5 Bigfoot Mr. R memberships. You're awesome, brother.
Thank you, Josh.
Awesome, Josh.
Yeah, I was the actual pirate. I do dig pirate movies. I watched this documentary on Netflix about the pirates. Oh, Two Shadows. Oh, wow. Jeez, oh, Pete. Thank you, Two Shadows. 10 more members. You
Nice.
guys, I'm humbled by you guys. Thank you ever so much. Love and appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we got about 20 new pirates, 25 new pirates. You guys rock. Thank you so much.
Oh, I should be Morticia Adams.
Well, you gotta dye your hair black. You have brown hair, correct?
Yeah, I can also buy a wig.
Oh, yeah.
Dye my hair.
Her hair is dark.
Okay,
She
yeah.
can just get the paint, the wash, shampoo washout stuff.
The spray stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
But then again, the wig, probably be easy too.
Yeah, that's easy too.
Oh,
I used to have a Morticia Adams dress. When I was in my 20s, I did Morticia Adams. I had the body for it back then.
I mean, but think about it. If we do a show, we'd only have to dress up from
From the waist.
up.
Yeah,
Right?
that's true.
You could have your pajama bottoms on, and
Oh, for sure.
away you go.
Unless we all have to stand up and show our costume.
Even if I stood up, I couldn't show still
just
from the
step
waist.
back.
It's just I have to stand all the way back, and
You have to turn lights on and
gotta ruin all the lighting.
so much work.
Oh gosh,
It's just so much work.
it's so much work. I need an hour prep just to do my own show wearing a bandana, for God's sakes.
That's true. Because he can't ever decide which one to wear.
I can. I got 72 of them. I just counted yesterday and washed them all today, all at the same time. And then I put them in the dryer and made a mistake, and now I shrank them all. Yeah, I didn't know the cotton shrank.
What?
How old are you?
I did not know the pre-washed cotton shrank. Pre-washed
Did
cotton.
you just start doing laundry?
I've been doing laundry since the age of 37, I think.
Okay. 37. Wow, that's impressive.
I was going to say, wow. That's awesome.
No,
Yeah, you got away with it.
I just said that to be funny. My Lord. 29.
I don't know, but we'll get it. We'll get a Halloween show around though. We'll get a Halloween show.
Yes, we should. And I gotta tell you, we're going off random. I may have a lot of fun with you guys. I always do. This is one of the fun shows, you guys.
Yeah.
If you're new, you're subscribed to our channels. We don't get that serious on this show. We do a couple stories about creepy stuff like we all like. And what I love most is having you guys on, and when Krista, when she's on, we just bullshit about whatever, because it's Saturday night. It's 2:00 in the morning. Well, 1:30. And you know what? People love the show. They're entertained by it. Not everything has to be serious, right, you guys? That's why I love this.
That's right.
And people are into things that are outside of, Bigfoot, Dogman, aliens. We got to mix it all together. That's why I like the variety. It's more of a variety show at night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I enjoy it. I have 3 live shows. I think I probably am starting to like this one the most, to be honest with you. So I got to thank everybody for the super chats and the giftings. Fantastic. Brandy. So wait, today's, it's Sunday for me. Monday, Tuesday, I'm on Tuesday. Then Brandy and Chris are on Thursday. You got anything going on Thursday you want to talk about, Brando?
Not right now. Not right now. We're working on a couple things. Tex and I will be hosting the show Thursday and Friday because of Krista being on vacation. So your guess is as good as mine.
And the guess is probably as good as mine for Monday when Tex is on Monday, right? So you guys have anything cool for that? You don't know on that either?
Right now, what he had told me is we're having CD Squatcher on, and she's going to be telling us some stories that she's encountered. So I'm looking forward to that. And like I said, I don't know really what's going on Thursday and Friday. This is all I know for right now. He said he would take care of it. I said, oh, no.
I certainly did not mean to put you on the spot. Tuesday, me and Monica, Tuesday nights is Beyond BMR. I'm usually on with Krista. Krista's on vacation. So Monica is joining me as my host this Tuesday coming up. And we've got Gonzo from Breaking Bad, Jesus Payan,
That's going to be fun.
She's going to join us. So if you guys ever saw Breaking Bad, we got the actor joining us, and he's a Bigfoot guy. We're talking Bigfoot with Jesus Pan Gonzo from Breaking Bad on Tuesday.
Isn't it Jesus?
You could have aliens with Jesus too.
No, you know what? Hey, Monica, you're right, because I will tell you this. You're very smart, and I thought I was smart as well. I called him Jesus the first time I met him. And he goes, no, call me Jesus. I said, I thought it was supposed to be Jesus. He goes, nope, I go by Jesus. I'm like, hey, okay, my bad, Lord.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what he told me.
All right.
But you're right, Monica. I said Jesus because I know it's Jes. It's spelled like Jesus.
It's spelled like Jesus, but
I said Jesus. He goes, no, it's Jesus. I'm like, okay.
But in Spanish, J's are pronounced like H's.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, dude, I do apologize for that one. And then Thursday afternoon, I got Dr. Dean on, Dr. Dean Bertram.
Wonderful.
Yes. So I got 2 great guests for next week. I'm ready to roll. And Monica, you have the Thursday. I know you and Breezy are on Thursdays. You doing the easy breezy or what? What's going on?
Well, yeah, I mean, it'll just be me and Breezy probably. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about yet because last week we talked about, I did most of the talking, talked about Area X and just some random stuff. So I've got to really think about what I'm going to talk about this week. I need to get some more shorts out there too because I got stalled. My son got sick. He had strep and pink eye at the same time. Poor kid.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
really?
So
he was miserable, my little buddy.
I know. And then Chris had to go out of town for his father's memorial service. So I was alone with the child with strep and pink eyes. I didn't have any free time this week. So I got to got to jump back on them shorts. Because everybody seems to like
you were sitting there probably going, I love you, son, and I know you're sick, but I can't do anything for you. I can't even touch you.
I know. I'm like, we're washing everything you've touched in the last, 3 days.
Right. Here's some Germex and here's some more soap.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, that must have been horrible.
From everything when you're taking a shower. Don't touch my towel with your towel.
Right. And then when you go into the bathroom, you're like, well, I'm not sure if you touched my towel. So then you just end up having to wash all of it.
I just hose it down with Lysol. Everything gets a Lysol bath for a few days.
That's it.
I got several Lysol cans throughout the house just because I like to spray it.
Just like that pine solly scent?
I just like that beautiful scent.
Yeah.
I do.
We had somebody at work several years ago. I know exactly who it was. So we had single stall bathrooms, right? There were single occupancy bathrooms in my office. And there was somebody who would use the ladies' room. And they would use Lysol as air freshener. They would just hose that bathroom.
Yeah, I can't do that.
And I can't breathe if there's too much of that in the air. And I had to take a Post-it note and tape it to the can saying, this is not air freshener. Please stop doing that.
Well,
right.
I was being a little overzealous when I said I love spraying Lysol over. Particular I do in August because I know it's probably different in Texas and Missouri, but August is when, for whatever reason, I don't get flies, you guys. April, May, June, July. If I see 5 flies in 4 months, I'm lucky.
Wow.
Now there's a million out, and they get in my house somehow. And I think flies are the nastiest insect in the world because we all know where they come from and where they land. So when I see them, I get a phobia and I spray the windows with Lysol. I hit the furniture a little bit because I don't like where they land and what they've been in. And that's I cringe thinking about it.
Right.
So I do use the Lysol a lot in August. Not because I like this scent, Monica. I was kind of kidding, but yeah, just because of that.
Well, they have scented Lysol now, so it's not just that.
Do they really? I didn't know that. Just anymore. Now, let me ask you: is there something I could do? I'm gonna ask you, girls, this: is there something I could put in a washer and dryer when I wash my clothes so they don't come out hard? Is there fabric softener they make? Is there anything like that I can use?
I'm not even going to answer that. I'm just not even going to answer that. I was going to say, yeah,
You know,
I
because
think soap would be good if they're still coming out crusty.
because I hate taking
yeah.
my clothes and I hate taking them out and spraying them with water and then dampening them up to fluff them up. It's so annoying, and it sucks in the winter.
Okay.
There's got to be something to soften your clothes when you wash them.
Yes. Yes. When you put them in the dryer, use wool dryer balls. They'll keep your stuff nice and fluffy.
Okay.
Nice and fluffy, Rob.
Okay. Very good. I'll write that down.
Save
I
on.
heard they have something called bounce for the dryer. I don't know what is that, like a ball?
Well, that doesn't keep your clothes fluffy. Doesn't keep them fluffy.
Okay.
Yeah, static cling. It helps with that.
You can use what is it? Oh, what's it? Borax.
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
Yeah,
Amy,
get a
it's
wash
been a
tub.
while. It's been a while, Amy Creel. I know how to do laundry.
Yeah.
You get a Downy ball and put bleach in it. Just throw it in.
You know, I do.
Rob still uses a wash tub and lye soap.
Yeah, well, I did find this product called Downy. Now I find that helps soften the clothes when I wash them.
He likes to smell April fresh.
There you go. I saw the commercial. The jingle got to me, and I immediately ran to Kroger and bought me a Downy.
Oh, my favorite scent is the Downy. They have the light scents. The light lavender. It's white lavender, but it's light, and that's such a good scent. I love that.
Nice.
I like the gray flannels. I like the gray flannel scent.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I made it up. I don't know if there's
very masculine.
Yes, very masculine.
So yeah, I mean, Bath and Body Works does have a gray flannel.
Yeah, there used to be a cologne named Gray Flannel too. So.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I know a little bit. I guess at that too. This has been a great show, you guys. We're going off the rails, but you know what? That's why I love the show. It's fun, a lot of fun. Love both of you. We always have a good time. And we'll do it again next Saturday, everybody. Every Saturday at midnight, you can see me and the girls. Well, you'll be able to see Brandy eventually when she gets that thing called the internet fixed. She's another smiling, pretty face to join us.
It's when the county and the city will connect, I guess. Because only the city is connected to anything and county is not. Yeah, I have nothing. So
yeah. Well, before we go, T-Bone, Kelly Lewis, Amy Creel, T-Bone, John Castro, Two Shadows. Thank you for the memberships and the super chats. You guys rock. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Of course, it's never expected, but always appreciated. Subscribe to the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast if you're new here. Monica Rollins, Our Paranormal World if you're new. And, of course, Bigfoot, Mr. Rob if you're new. And Texas Front Porch, again, if you're new. Check us out. I'm on 3 days a week. The girls are on twice a week. Monica's on once. Tex is on once. Well, he's got actually, Tex is on Sunday with True Crime. And I'm sorry, Brando. Are you guys still doing the Truth or Tinfoil deal?
yes, we're starting right back up on Sunday. So right now I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shows a week.
The girl with no internet. The girl with no internet is doing 5 shows per week. Hats off to Brandy. Hats off to Brandy.
Yeah.
I mean, I may be outside on the roof and, holding one hand up and praying for the best, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, you always do your best.
Yeah, the mosquitoes are out right now, so that's why I have to be in the house.
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned here in August, we have flies and mosquitoes. August in Michigan is terrible. For me, summer's over when August hits, especially by the 15th, I'm done. And I love the summer, don't get me wrong.
I hate the summer.
But it's football season, baby.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I love Monica. Monica is you're a commissioner for fantasy. Jeez, if you weren't married, I'd come down to your place and sweep you off your feet.
We can play
football gal. You too, Brandy. I sweep you off your feet too. Well, I love you too.
Yeah,
I love y'all. I love my girls. I loved everyone in chat, everyone listening later. We have a good time on this show, so thanks so much for coming on. I think I've said enough. I'll get in too much trouble with the women, so I'm going to end it.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Everybody send your laundry tips into BMR.
Yes.
Along with your movie list. Don't forget the movie list.
I would like to learn how to make my clothes softer when I wash them. And I would like, these older movies that I should have seen 30 years ago. I'd like to get those requests to at bmr@gmail.com.
Send them all in.
Send them in. It's always a fun time. Love everybody. I'll see you two ladies later. With that being said, until next time, BMR and the girls, we're out.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Are you ready?